And our first speaker is Jimmy Radosta. Jimmy is an Oregon native and has appeared in the film Mortified Nation and has performed at Mortified in Portland, Hollywood, San Francisco, Chicago, Austin, and even Baltimore. He has shared stories at the Moth, Backfence, Mystery Box, and PechaKucha Night, PDX, our very own Volume 11. He is after being a 15-year career journalist, he then served as communications director for Planned Parenthood Advocates of Oregon since 2011, and he holds Guinness Book World Records for being in the world's longest floating chain, as well as the world's longest drag queen chorus line. Please welcome the reformer, Jimmy Radosta.
Thank you. I think conditions are perfect for takeoff, so I'm good to go. Type 1 of the Enneagram personality system belongs to the perfectionist. And to be perfectly frank, we don't mind coming in at number 1. We have high standards for ourselves and for those around us, and that's where we try to bring good into the world. In the simplest terms, we notice errors and we feel the need to fix them. In some cases, we mean that quite literally. In the book, The Great Typo Hunt, a couple of intrepid grammar nerds boasted about going on a cross-country road trip where they spotted a whopping 437 typos, and they managed to correct 236 of them. For a perfectionist, this would be my kind of vacation. Like in the classic game Perfection, we feel an intense pressure to win. We believe that to be deserving of love and respect, we must be good and right and perform exactly as expected. However, type 1s express our perfectionism in many different ways, and the 3 subtypes illustrate this clearly. First, there is the one-on-one subtype. These are the reformers, and they're motivated to make the world a better place, or at least to make the world a place that more closely conforms to their idealized vision. They tend to be determined, vigilant, confrontational, impulsive, and sexually liberated. Second, there is the social subtype. Their perfectionism is demonstrated by setting a good example for other people to follow. They can sometimes come across like school teachers with an air of superiority and rigidity, but their strengths come through in their confidence and in their reasoning. Finally, the self-preservation subtype. I fall into this category. We turn that critical eye inward. We worry about getting good grades, getting a good job, being a good partner. Now, before I get into the positivity that perfectionists bring into the world, I must be perfectly honest and acknowledge the hurdles that we need to overcome first. For perfectionists like me, the biggest hurdle is our inner critic. This is the judgmental voice that presides over a mental courtroom inside our heads, where ideas are proposed, contested, and pronounced worthy or unworthy before any action can take place. This struggle can build into a perfect storm, so to speak, for anger. And when we feel guilty and irritated that we don't have the power to create order out of all the chaos in the world, we can become resentful of cleaning up what we perceive as other people's messes and other people's incompetence. And when these feelings of frustration are suppressed for too long, they spur us into wrath. It's in these moments of stress when I see the world more like a type 4 romantic, fixating on what's missing. I deny myself pleasure. I become sensitive to criticism, and my fear of making mistakes leads to procrastination. And on my worst days, I can become an obsessive-compulsive, uncompromising, self-righteous control freak. However, when we heed the wise words of Beyonce, perfectionists can channel our frustration into a more progressive direction where kindness, decency, creativity, and forgiveness can flourish. We can lighten up, shed that judge's robe, relax the need for competition, and focus on finding our purpose. Vince Lombardi expressed a similar sentiment when he said, perfection isn't attainable, but excellence is. And he should know, after winning the first 2 Super Bowls, he never had a losing season as head coach in the National Football League, and he is considered by many to be the greatest coach in football history. Meanwhile, Malcolm Gladwell takes a different approach, claiming more or less that practice does make perfect. His book Outliers amplified a study that says the key to achieving world-class expertise in any skill is a matter of practicing for around 10,000 hours total. Just 20 hours a week for 10 years, and you're all set. Regardless of whether we achieve master status, however, perfectionists bring a solid work ethic to our jobs. We take pride in following the rules. We desire to streamline procedures and systems. We are responsible, persuasive, and thrifty. We demonstrate leadership skills, attention to detail, and stability. In relationships, we strive to be the perfect match by bringing reliability, honesty, and authenticity to the table. We hold our partners to high standards, but we have to remember that not everyone's standards are the same. Grace Jones had the right idea when she sang, "I'm not perfect, but I'm perfect for you." Now, in our social lives, perfectionists know how to have a good time. When I'm feeling secure, I resemble a type 7 epicure, and I allow myself to indulge in life's pleasures. I can curate the perfect mixtape, cook the perfect meal, arrange the perfect vacation, and plan a perfect day that would even impress Lou Reed. We also have a keen eye for aesthetics and design, and are always on the lookout for picture-perfect moments like this one. When I'm outdoors, it gives me the space to experience the transcendence of objects in their natural environment, free from societal expectations of beauty. We perfectionists are also big on self-improvement, which makes sense because self-correction is kind of our thing. We monitor our own actions and our own thoughts. Think right, do right, be right. We are conscientious, and we see ethical, moral living as a mark of good character. And this is a great Fiona Apple song, by the way. Now, the real self-improvement comes when we pursue our passions, regardless of whether we're good at it. That study I mentioned about Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000-hour rule, well, it was recently revealed to have been largely misinterpreted. While nobody denies that hard work is necessary to achieve great results, there's no guaranteed path to becoming a master. And that brings me back to those rampant typos I mentioned earlier. I've bypassed this particular sign in Portland for maybe 10 years now, and while it used to annoy the heck out of me, now it's become a daily reminder that I can bring the most good into the world when I'm not sweating the small stuff, but instead accepting things as they are. Enneagram expert Helen Palmer says that serenity is achieved by letting the judging mind recede and allowing both the positive and the negative feelings to move through the body without inhibition from the thinking self. So, when I show myself compassion and tolerance, I can pass that on to others in pursuit of a more perfect world. Thank you.
Yay! Great.
An incredible E-clap.
Yeah,
An incredible E-clap for Jimmy Radosta. Who, to quote Beyonce, Vince Lombardo, Malcolm Gladwell, Dali, Fiona Apple, and Latsu, all in the same presentation, which is incredible. Thank you for staying away from the dark side, Jimmy, and for using your powers for good. All right? All right, now on to our next presenter.